Hey guys, Brady here from DAC Baseball. Today we're going to talk about the different parts of our body and what needs to be stable and what needs to be mobile. So we're going to start by actually drawing a diagram of a machine with levers. And this is how we're going to think about all these different parts of our body. So let's say we have a machine here. It's on the ground and it has an arm. It's going to eventually have a mechanical arm. But so the machine, we're going to think of as our torso. So basically from our chest down to the top, or our chest down to our hip. That's going to be the machine. That's our torso. Or some people might call it our core. Either way, let's think about the upper body first. So if this is our torso, and then we have an arm coming out of our torso. And again, think of this as a mechanical machine with a mechanical arm. So we have an arm coming out of the machine. In terms of our body, it's our humerus or our upper arm coming out of our torso. So at the point that the arm meets the machine, we need that to be mobile, right? We need that to be able to move and pivot just like our arm needs to be able to move and pivot. And then we need this part to be stable. And so in terms of our body, we need basically our bicep and our tricep in terms of the upper forearm, or the upper arm, sorry, not our forearm, the upper arm, and then also our shoulder complex. We need all of that to be stable in order to control the movement at the pivot points, which in the case of which we're talking about is the shoulder. So we need everything that's around that to be stable to control the amount of mobility that we have in our shoulder, or in this case, where it connects to the machine's body. Coming off of that, we're going to have another arm. And so this, we're going to think about in terms of our elbow. So that needs to be mobile, but everything around it, again, needs to be stable because we can have too much mobility at this point. We don't want our elbow or our forearm to be able to hang all the way down, let's say, past 180 degrees. So if my hand right now, if this was level and my hand was instead here, so my forearm made this angle, we'd be like, dude, something's wrong with your arm. Like, you need to go get that checked out, right? So we need, yes, it needs to be mobile, but we need everything around it to be stable in order to control the movement that we have at that pivot point. So if we break that off, next, let's say we're going to have a little bucket on the end of this machine and we're trying to pick up this rock that's on the ground. So rock, and that's the bucket. So the thing that connects the arm and then the bucket needs to be mobile to allow the bucket to move. So in terms of our arm, this is our forearm, this is our hand, and the part that connects it, the pivot point that connects it, is our wrist. So our wrist needs to be mobile, our wrist needs to be able to move, but then again, everything around it needs to be stable in order to control that movement. So that's our upper body, but we can think about it in terms of our lower body as well. So let's see. So far in this list, we went through wrist. We said wrist needed to be mobile. Elbow needs to be mobile. Shoulder needs to be mobile. But again, the important part is that you can't have too much mobility in these areas. So that everything that's around it, so surrounding structures need stability to ensure that we don't have too much mobility in those areas. So if we think now about our legs, we can use the same drawing. So if this is our torso, the thing that comes off of our torso first is going to be the hip. And the hip needs to be mobile and allow for different movement. Coming off that is our upper leg, and so that needs to be stable. So that's our quads, our hamstrings, everything that kind of works around that needs to be stable. The knee, again, is that next pivot point, and that needs to be able to move, but everything around it needs to be stable to support the movement that's going to come from the knee. And then we have the ankle, which is this piece right here. The ankle needs to be mobile, and then the foot needs to be stable, again, so that we can control the movement that's coming at the ankle. So that's basically our limbs and how it works off the torso, represented by a machine. Now, there's also some things specifically in the torso. So our lumbar spine, we're actually going to want our lumbar spine to be stable, and then we're going to want our thoracic spine to be mobile. So we want this to be able to, if we think about this as like a base, if we think about this machine, we think about it having a base, this piece doesn't move at all, and then this piece can rotate and come up and down a little bit. That just adds another dynamic to all this other stuff that's happening in the arms and legs. All right, so we want our lumbar spine to be stable and our thoracic spine to be able to work on top of our lumbar spine. So I hope that helps to demonstrate how all the different parts of our body work interrelated and together. So, but if we think about, so if this bucket here, this is just an example. So if the bucket isn't as stable as it needs to be, and it's a little bit unstable, that's going to affect everything else up the chain of this machine, just like it would on our body. So if our foot is a little bit unstable, that's going to cause our ankle, or in this case, the piece that's connected to the bucket, that is going to need to have a little bit more stability to make up for the instability that's in our foot, or the instability. And so when you're looking at an athlete's body, and if they don't have enough mobility, or they don't have enough stability in an area like their foot, and then you also see that they don't have enough ankle mobility. So let's say your first diagnosis is that they don't have enough ankle mobility. It might not be just the fact that they don't have enough ankle mobility. That may be caused by the fact that the limb that it's working off of, so the foot is a little bit unstable, so it causes the ankle to be tight because it needs to make up for the instability of the foot. And so that's just how everything, or I think that's a good way to demonstrate like how everything is related, and how if you're looking at an athlete and let's say their shoulder, they don't have quite as much mobility as they need. So let's say it only goes up to here instead of all the way up to 180 degrees. The shoulder itself might not be the issue. It might be something else in the chain that's causing that shoulder to not have the mobility that it needs. So I think this demonstration here is just a good way to think about it. Think about the body in terms of levers and what needs to be stable and what needs to be mobile. And then from there you can kind of break down and see where the issue might be coming from. So I hope this helped you guys. If it did, let me know, leave your comments, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear back from you guys, so thanks for watching.